What is up, guys? Sketchy here, coming at you with the 24th episode of Sketchy Unscripted. Now, here's something that I rarely ever do. Talk about live action shows, and even more strange, Degrassi. For those who do not know, Degrassi was a long-running TV show that spanned several incarnations, the most popular of which being Degrassi The Next Generation, which ran for like 16, 15 seasons, and it was mostly on Teen Nick. Now you guys are wondering, why in the hell am I talking about this show? I usually talk about like cartoons and comics and video games. Well, one of my favorite aspects of storytelling is characters and how those characters are written. And after watching the latest incarnation, Degrassi Next Class on Netflix, I was impressed and kind of surprised at the character writing in the show. Well, most of them anyway. A lot of the times in stories that have this high school setting, you clearly know who are the good guys, who are the bad guys. The good guys are always the nerds and like the in-betweeners, and like the jocks and the cheerleaders are always the bad guys. But the show realizes that it doesn't necessarily work like that, because no matter how badly we want to deny it, everyone has done something messed up in their lives at one point or another. And the show acknowledges that not everybody is a complete saint and not everyone is a complete a-hole. It's one thing for a cartoon to have like a basic morality system of like, these are the good guys, these are the bad guys, especially when said cartoon is aimed towards children. But in a show that is set in reality and especially revolves around teenagers, it doesn't really work like that. And Degrassi is willing to acknowledge that. There are characters that you think you're gonna like because they left a good first impression on you, and then later on they make some decisions that you don't necessarily agree with. And also there are people who you think you're not gonna like, and they end up making decisions that are like, you're not as bad as I thought. To give an example, there's one character who is very insecure about his relationship with his girlfriend, but at the same time he's willing to take a bullet for her, and he's her main line of support when something particularly bad happens to her at school. To give another example, there's one character who gets his school club shut down for some kinda unfair reasons, but with the way he reacts to it and the way he retaliates especially, I definitely didn't agree with that. So what we end up getting is a diverse cast of characters who all stand on different parts of the morality spectrum. No one is completely good, no one is completely bad, everyone is just some percentage of gray, just like, well, real life. Another thing I was impressed with in this series was that when it talks about certain issues, especially social issues, they don't pick a side. They show both sides of the argument and show where each side has their merits and where each side messes up and goes too far. Given that this was my first experience with any of the Degrassi shows, I was kind of expecting some stereotypical high school drama, and I don't know if the old series did that, but this one doesn't really. There are one or two storylines where it's like, okay, can we skip this and get to the good stuff? But for the most part, the show goes beyond typical high school drama. There's one storyline later in the season where a character gets doxxed because of a song that she wrote. For those who don't know, doxing is when someone hacks your personal information, like your real name, your address, anything that can identify you, and publishes it online for everyone to see. It's usually done as a form of retaliation, and I know a lot of people on Tumblr are familiar with the concept of doxing, and the show gives a clear picture of what people go through when something like that happens to them. The anxiety that it puts people through, and the serious implications that you could have if you get caught doing that to someone. The writers did say that technology was going to play an important role in this new series, and they were not lying. These are definitely current issues that a lot of people are unfortunately dealing with, and I gotta give it up to the show for having the balls to tackle it like this. I was definitely unsure about the Degrassi series before I walked into it. I kinda wanted to get into the previous incarnation, but there were so many seasons with so many cast members, and they were in the middle of so many storylines that I would just be confused if I just walked in, and I didn't want to play catch up with 15 seasons. But by taking the younger cast members that didn't get that much screen time in the old series and putting them at the forefront with some newcomers in this new series, it provides a fresh start for anyone that's interested, and I'd say give it a try. If you can get past the one or two subplots that are kind of superficial compared to everything else, I think you'd find a worthwhile series here. The first season is only 10 episodes, so if you got a lazy day, you can easily binge watch it, which I surprisingly did because that's not something that I normally do. I'm really slow when it comes to watching shows. But hey, when a show grabs me, it grabs me, and hopefully it'll grab you too. Thanks you guys for watching this episode of Sketchy Unscripted. I have another episode that's out alongside this one, so be sure to check that out. Swarm that comment section down below, and until next time, keep it sketchy, folks.